Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am the guy who picked Caitlin Chukagian to defeat Jessica Andrade. And I'm here to talk about Orion Cosce versus Gilbert Urbina. These guys have similar experience, and they're similar in age. Not too similar in height and reach. Gilbert Urbina's got 4 inches of height and 3 inches of reach on Orion Cosce. But this is still a very appropriate matchup for the UFC here. Urbina is coming down. He's coming down to welterweight here after losing in the middleweight finale of the Ultimate Fighter season, whatever the fuck, season 2 seasons ago, because it was a while ago. But Gilbert Urbina, he's still got a long way to go before he's even in his prime, and now he's in the UFC, so why rush it? Get your shit together and come back stronger, and that's what he did. Here he is as a welterweight, making his welterweight debut, and his first real go in the UFC, because that last one was on short notice. He was replacing Tresean Gore, the guy who knocked him out. Let me get into that. They've got a few losses, 2 losses for Urbina, 1 loss for Orion Cosce. I'll get into how they've lost, because that's always what I like to do. Gilbert Urbina, 6-2 record. His 2 losses come 1 by submission, Brian Battle in the finale, round 2, rear naked choke, and 1 by decision. This guy called Sean Brady, who is now, whatever, I don't know, he's one of the top welterweights in the world already. And that's a win that's gotten better with age. Brady beat him by decision in the LFA, consistently took him down, got a lot of control time on the ground, but Urbina still fared well in that fight. And cardio wasn't an issue for him, maybe wrestling cardio or something, but he was still fighting hard in round 3. He had some really nice moments, and I think it's a loss that's gotten a lot better with age, having gone the distance with Brady on top of you. Of course, his other loss is a knockout to Tresean Gore, as I mentioned. Fuck, I missed a chance to use the word aforementioned. But anyway, he did get knocked out by Tresean Gore. Tresean hit him with a big left hook, short left hook, really, as he was coming in a little wild. And that's the thing, Urbina, he's still a young fighter, as is Cosce. So they still have a lot of bad habits. Shit that, you know it when you see it, but you can't articulate it if you're stupid like I am. But he's definitely a wild guy. And probably mitigated some of that after getting clipped with a big left hook from a guy with relatively no experience. And yeah, he's I'm sure his estimation of his own chin has gone down since then. So he's probably picked up a few better tendencies. But he is a wild guy, because even though he didn't come out too recklessly against Brian Battle, he still came out of the gate hot, and he really poured it on Brian Battle, took him down, was bullying him around, and that might have been wise, actually, now that I think about it, because he did come into the fight on short notice. Maybe he figured, I don't have the gas tank to fight a 15-minute fight here. I've got to put all my eggs in one basket and go for it. But regardless, he did pay in round 2. Brian Battle got him down after Urbina had initially gotten him down again in round 2. And then Urbina went for some wild shit again, a spinning back fist or something. And Battle got in under him, got his hips, got him down, choked him out, shortly thereafter. So Urbina definitely doesn't look like the most refined fighter. I'm sure he's going to make a lot of tactical mistakes. But technically, he seems pretty solid. I know he's been knocked out and submitted. He's been bested in every realm. But I think he's a versatile guy. I like his hands, and I like his grappling chops as well. I do think he's got a good offensive submission game. And some decent wrestling as well. So, overall, I like Gilbert Urbina. And, of course, he comes from a fighting family. Hector and whoever the fuck. But anyway, Orion Cosce, he's also a pretty unrefined fighter, or not yet refined fighter, and he's a guy that loves a knockout. He's got 6 knockouts in his 8 victories, TKOs as well, of course. He is a wrestler first and foremost, and on the feet, he doesn't mind throwing down. I mean, this guy, he's got power. He was bested once, and it was by Philip Rowe on the feet. Philip Rowe cracked him, but even in that moment, in that fight, he showed some maybe not great tendencies or great traits if you're one of his coaches, but as a fan, he showed some really respectable traits, throwing down, and I think he even hurt Philip Rowe somewhere in the middle of that whole sequence. But nevertheless, he was knocked out in the middle of that. So at the end of that, I should say. So Orion Cosce, for a young fighter, suffered his first loss, and it is by knockout. And it was in round 2 when fatigue had kicked in a little bit. Even if it's not totally evident, it's always playing a role some way. In some way, your punches are slower, your movement's slower, whatever. And after that, he got a nice rebound victory over Blood Diamond. He went the distance, and he ended up winning round 3 to get him the fight because he had lost round 2. It looked like the fight was getting away from him, but his wrestling was there for him throughout the whole fight. And what else was? His toughness. I think he's a pretty durable guy. It remains to be seen if he's got bad cardio, but I can't attribute his loss to Philip Rowe to bad cardio. And I think he's got to have a wrestling advantage in most fights, and he will in this fight as well. I'm taking Orion Cosce to win. He's a guy that has impressed me in the past. That win over Matt Dixon on the Contender Series. That's his finest victory, in my opinion. Got him out of there in round 3. Crucifix, I believe. And he's definitely got a lot of upside. And now that the odds are even at minus 115, I'm going with Orion Cosce. I think he is still a guy that's got some holes in his game, but so does Gilbert Urbina. And I think Orion Cosce, if he's ever running into trouble on the feet, throwing down like he did against Philip Rowe, if it doesn't bring him a knockout against Urbina, it'll probably scare him off and help Orion defensively. So I'm thinking Orion probably wins this fight by points, scratching and clawing, and hitting more takedowns overall. But I'm not going to bet on it because I can't trust either guy. I think there's a lot that remains to be figured out. And either guy I could see having a bad chin or bad cardio. So my pick is Orion Cosce, and his wrestling carries him to a victory. But I'm not touching this betting-wise. Just staying the fuck away from it. Like, share, subscribe, all that horseshit. Check out my other videos.